before we start the podcast, let's I just want to say, like, let's have a really good podcast today.
Okay.
Okay.
As opposed to what last week we thought I was not carrying my weight.
We've just been watching. Well, yeah, maybe you should step out. No, we've just been watching The Office, and there's just that one line I keep on thinking of. It's such a good line of Andy and Jim going into the school, and as they're about to walk in, Andy says, "Hey, Jim, let's do a really good job in there."
Yeah.
And Jim's like, "Did that really have to be said?" That line's been living in my head. That, and then what was the rap song we were talking about last night? Where I was, do you ever?
It's is you high right now? Do you ever get nervous?
I think that might be the most creative and genius rap
song.
line.
Yeah.
Do you ever get nervous? It's like the best, like, when you're high, freaking out. The way he says, do you ever get nervous? Like, what a weird question to ask somebody. And it's a million times worse when they're high.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, welcome to the Public Cool podcast.
The Public Cool.
Babe, you know what you married.
Welcome back to the Public Pool Podcast. I'm Michaela Pascal, and here with my husband, Jack Lachey.
You're really emphasizing the P's there to make fun of me. Public Pool.
The Public Pool Podcast.
Did you ever?
I don't even know what voice that is.
You were never in, like, speech therapy, right?
No.
No,
I was in every other tutor possible, but
yeah.
they were like, this kid,
they're like, well,
she's got some sort of learning disability. We don't know what. And they never figured it out.
So the two things that they were like, we know she's good, were teeth and the speech. They're like, she's fine.
Yeah.
Because I know that you're like teeth. They're like, no, she does not need braces.
No, my teeth were so cool. That's like my one bragging point. Like,
yeah.
Like if they're like, okay, like what's like your best feature? I'd say my teeth, because I was able to opt out of braces being like, no, I'm good. Like,
yeah.
Cause I was a child actor, and I like had like a manager and stuff like that. My mom was kind of like, she's getting to that age where like,
does she need braces?
She's going to get braces. Like, what do you think? And my manager was like, no, like type of thing. And in retrospect, good, but it saved my mom money.
Yeah, of course.
I didn't need braces. They just give braces to everyone like it's candy. But, and then they did say, like, if you feel like she really needs them, you could pull the Miley Cyrus, which is what she did when she got braces on the inside of her teeth.
Yeah.
Which sounds so painful, but that's why she kind of had a lisp for like a couple seasons of Hannah Montana.
That makes sense.
Uh-huh.
Why? So I just had the realization as you were talking, I never got braces. And my front teeth are great, or my top teeth. Yeah. My bottom teeth, they're not quite Will Ferrell bottom teeth, but like they're a little over the place. They're not perfect. They're not perfect, and that's fine.
But bottom teeth, I feel like, who cares? You don't see them.
One, yes. And two, though, in hindsight, I think, because my sister and I never got braces, I think my 3 younger brothers did.
Oh, they did?
I think that my sister did have perfect teeth. I think I was so difficult at the doctor. I bet you, like, if I call my mom,
like, it's not even worth it.
I bet you should be like, it's legitimately not worth taking you to the doctor unless it's necessary.
Yeah.
Because, like, I mumble. Like, it's not a speech then.
Uh-huh.
But like I every time I say welcome to, or I'm not going to say it, I miss a letter.
I think actually, any of your pronunciation stuff where you think you mumble, I think it's because you can't hear super well.
Yeah.
You're always insecure about speaking too loudly. You always ask me constantly if you're yelling, and I'm like, no, you're not.
Okay, yeah.
So I think you kind of actually try to bring your voice back more than you need to, because you never yell.
Okay, that's another example. I'm realizing a lot of stuff.
It's the year of realizing things.
I'm realizing things. So 2 of my younger brothers couldn't hear very well either, and then they got those tubes put in their ears. You know those things?
Yeah, you probably need some of those, girlfriend.
I probably do. If you don't know what those are, basically they put these tubes like kind of, I mean, if you're watching the podcast, you can see they're kind of like right behind your ear, but a little bit lower. And basically if you get like fluid buildup, it like drains it into where, I don't know. I don't ask those questions, but it drains it. I think I probably needed it too. And my mom just was like, not worth it. Like I was such a pain in the ass going. I was like, it was like moving a mental asylum patient from one room to another.
I was going to say, it's like being like, instead of a child, I have a monkey. It's like, it's pretty close. Yeah. But they're a little out of control.
And I was always very dense and very muscly. And after a while, my mom could not contain. I mean, I have really bad eyes. I went to the glasses doctor like twice. I just never wore them. Okay, I'm going to call my mom. I bet she's like, yeah, you didn't realize that?
All of the things that you have problems with are because you were too difficult as a child.
Yeah, I just never got those things fixed.
I'm basically I've started going to the gym. You're having me lift. I'm getting stronger, although we haven't been in like a month. I think my goal is to get strong enough so that when I do have your kids, I'm strong enough to control them. As they get older. Like I want to be strong.
well, it's funny. That's the one thing where it's like, if the kids are like me at all, I don't know how to deal with them. It's throwing a lot of puzzles and trivia at them.
No, I mean, I've learned how to contain you. So
Yes.
you've been great practice.
Are there any, so I know your tricks of, so one thing Michaela does when I'm like either worked up, when I'm worked up, you will ask me a question and now I know what you're doing, but I don't care.
You're just so excited to answer the question.
Yeah.
You don't care.
You'll ask me like a World War II question where it's like, where there's a long answer. And then and then all of a sudden I'm not worked up because I'm like,
I was gonna say I have audio of last night. I was zoning out. Well, Jack's brother William is in town, and I was like, William gets to hear your theories and all your thoughts about World War II.
Well, he asked a question. He was like, "Well, why?"
I just want to. This is just me. I just recorded a random part of the conversation.
That's why Japan, fuck Italy, but Japan, Germany, we took Japan under our wing immediately, mostly as sort of like a attack or defense against the USSR. We were worried that if we turned around, the Russians were just immediately like, think that we had the nuke, and we nuked them. Otherwise, Russia would be like, okay, cool, so Japan's part of us now. Like, it would have been over.
You're talking about it like you were there, like we.
Well, yeah, I was there. It was my team. It's like when I'm talking about like the New York Giants, I'm like, well, we got to get a quarterback.
If you have a chance to go off, you're gonna go off.
And what's so funny there is like already people listen to the podcast can already know there's gaps in every word I say or every like I'll say I've talked like Christopher Walken sometimes, but
I would say I'm actually pretty good at editing out a lot of your long pauses.
Oh, thank you. That's my biggest. When my brother and I used to do a podcast, at first I was the older brother, so at first I was like the host of it, and then we realized like 2 months in, Henry like you was better at being like, here's my thought, I'm going to tell it directly. I couldn't introduce a topic or anything without it being a fucking bitch. Like it'd be like, so it was a nightmare. But
I think you just have too many thoughts going on in your head, and so you have to like catch the thought as it's like floating by.
Yeah,
there's a lot going on in your brain. The beautiful, beautiful mind.
And there's a lot going on this week.
Yes, there is.
Yeah. So do you see Southwest, the airline?
Are they ending the no assigned seating thing?
No, I didn't see that. Although that wouldn't shock me. They're worse. They're now going to start charging for bags.
Oh,
I mean, what the fuck?
What? Guys,
that's
in a climate where the CEOs need to be careful, you're really cutting it close.
Have we not learned?
Have we not learned? Let's not take more from the people. The people have been through enough. The checked bag thing was only supposed to be like a post 9/11 thing that for like a little bit while they were getting shit under control. It was not supposed to go on this long.
And it certainly wasn't supposed to be $50.
Like what do you want me to do?
Leave it?
Leave with the clothes on my back?
Well, so, and then here, this isn't my point, but I've seen somebody make this point and it makes a lot of sense to me. Okay, so is it about weight? Like how heavy? Because I know that weight actually does affect stuff on the plane.
Yeah.
But like, okay, I'm well more than 50 pounds heavier than you. Shouldn't you be allowed to check a 50-pound bag? If I have to pay for a bag, you should be able to bring a 50-pound for free. Yeah. Like, why do I get... Like, it just doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't.
The rules of it. And Southwest was the one where I always spoke highly of Southwest because I loved...
We spoke highly of you.
I like that you get to pick your own seat because I have my strategies. But
Yeah, I never understood why people were so worked up about
them
not having... Because I was like, that's one airline.
Yeah.
That's one... Just fly another airline.
Yeah, fly another airline or like... I don't know, like, do you remember when...
They only do short flights mostly.
Were you working at the movie theater when they switched from any seat to assigned seats?
So my theater didn't do that. We were a fancy theater.
So you just anybody anywhere.
It was anybody anywhere.
Yeah.
We didn't even have like the nice seats. It was just the thonk seats.
Yeah.
But I knew that the theater across town, they did do assigned seating eventually. But while I was there, they didn't do that yet.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, because I don't know, that one I remember being like, actually, this is good. Yeah. Because it was always such like we used to have to go to the movies like really early.
Yeah.
So we could all sit together.
But I kind of liked that though.
I liked it. Yeah, you liked it because you have a real like sentimental value. You put a lot of like.
I love the theater going experience. Okay.
But like you love the before the trailers stuff.
Yeah, I want to see Maria Menounos at first look.
Like you always kind of get excited.
Of course.
About that.
I want to see what's going on.
I don't. I'm crawling out of my skin when Maria Menounos comes on and tries to sell me some bullshit local thing that's happening.
Well, now she's always plugging her podcast.
Yeah,
so.
like I'm like I don't care, Maria. You have a great name. You got a great laugh. Wait, is that the line?
Yeah, I like that laugh.
Justin Bieber?
Yeah.
I'm like,
You're such a little shithead kid.
You know what? Well deserved though, Justin.
Absolutely.
As things come out, I'm like,
oh, yeah.
He should have been worse.
Oh no, he is owed a big apology from
a massive apology.
Yeah.
And when will we learn our lesson, by the way? Every single time when we're like, I don't like Miley, I don't like Justin or fucking.
It literally will never end. No matter how much we're like, no,
yeah.
like Gen Z is ending like Gen Z is the biggest cyberbullies I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah, they're just evolved.
Everyone is evil.
There's
no room for nuance. Everyone has to be perfect.
Yeah.
If you have money, then you deserve no sympathy whatsoever. Like,
yeah.
well, I don't know. Like, there's just
it's the victim perpetrator or victim, whatever the opposite of victim mentality thing is. Where
yeah.
If you're smaller, you're good. If you're bigger, you're bad.
Yeah. No, because there's this one TikToker that people really, really don't like her, but I'm such a big defender of her. I don't know how to say her last name, but it's like Michaela Nagaro or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
She's a makeup artist. Mm-hmm. I've only ever read her last name actually, so I'm like, I don't know how to say it out
Yeah.
loud. It starts with an N, but she's a great makeup artist. I've followed her since the beginning of TikTok when she blew up. She is like a Boston accent, and it's progressively gotten like louder and crazier. But it's like, yeah, she's more comfortable on camera now. She kind of gets that that's her niche. Of course.
Is she the one you were saying that people are upset that they think she's playing it up?
Yeah, and
it's probably the opposite.
Yeah,
she probably
was playing it down before. Like, of course. Yeah. But people just hate her because they think she's annoying or whatever.
People hate women on the internet.
Yeah, and so but like everyone is just so evil to her. And she like recently kind of started posting some stuff about like she's had a really tough year and she was kind of crying and she didn't like really talk about it. And I think she made a couple videos about it and people were like, quit teasing us and just tell us what it is. And they're like, well, clearly it's not something real if she's going to keep posting about how sad she is. And like, she's allowed to do that. Like,
yeah.
And also like all the comments were filled with people being like, well, I just lost my job and well, my mom is sick.
You think you have it hard.
And it's like, you don't even know what's going on in her life yet.
Yeah.
Like you don't even know. And you guys are all being evil in the comment. Like everyone's just mean. Like,
yeah, it's the thing of the like, there are certain people where if you break your leg, their response is, well, at least you're not in Gaza right now. Mm-hmm. Like, it's like, well, it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be worse, but I broke my leg.
Yeah.
That also sucks. Both things can suck to different levels. You know what we haven't had in a minute is a really good like YouTube apology video with the tears.
Yeah.
Like we haven't had I'm sorry.
I think the last like really like big one was Colleen Ballinger when she decided.
Which time?
Most recently.
Okay, that's a good joke,
I was going to say when she seems actually pretty canceled. She hasn't been back since.
Yeah.
When she apologized with the ukulele. Did you see that?
Yeah, no, I I can't watch
Yeah,
this
you
stuff.
had to look. She apologized. She like made a song with a ukulele. And
okay.
If you have a ukulele,
I judge you. Unless
if you're a white person with a ukulele,
and here's
put
the
it down.
Even if you're Hawaiian Samoan with a ukulele, if you are not 300 plus pounds, like I'm sorry,
it's already a tiny guitar. It has to look even tinier.
Girl, I do not want to see a fit ukulele player. I refuse to see it. Jason Mraz, take notes.
Yeah.
Stop playing the ukulele and wearing your fedoras. It's over.
No, he can keep the fedoras. That's his thing.
What is he? You know what?
I don't like fedoras on people, but Jason Mraz can keep the fedora.
So they say that Indiana Jones's hat is a fedora?
Technically.
But it's right technically.
It's not like a true fedora.
Yeah.
It's not it's more, it's like, it's between cowboy and fedora.
Because I'd say it has more cowboy vibes.
Yeah.
Like whenever I read that, which by the way, for whatever reasons, multiple times I've read like Indiana Jones fedora. I'm like, it's not a fucking fedora. Harrison Ford never wore a fedora.
He drops in Milady.
Yeah, exactly. It's like Milady. He was not that. He was not wearing a little hat.
Big news.
What?
Donatella Versace. She stepped down from Versace today.
Who took over?
I don't know yet, but Donatella's
Gianni?
down. Gianni's dead.
Well, Johnny dead a while ago.
Gianni's been passed away for a minute now, but she's taken over since Gianni.
Yeah, and
we watched American Crime Story and we love going Gianni.
Johnny.
Penelope Cruz did, like, she really transformed, though, for that show.
You know what's a scene I think about every now and then? And for whatever reason, because it's like really funny to me, even though it's not a funny scene at all, is when Gianni Versace?
Gianni.
I almost called him Johnny Versace.
Johnny Versace.
Johnny Versace sounds like a Disney character.
We need a Johnny Versace.
It's kind of Johnny Tsunami vibes. But Gianni, like, he like goes deaf for like a minute. You know that scene?
Yeah.
And he just kind of like, whoa!
Yeah.
whoa. And they're like, Johnny! He's like, I can't hear. And then they're like, a minute later, he's like, I can hear again. And just for whatever reason, I think about that scene and giggle every now and then. Whoa! I can't hear.
God, American Crime Story is so good. That season was a little bit out of place.
That season was
it was
very mid.
It was more along the lines of like the other shows he makes, like the Monsters and the Dahmer and stuff like that. But because this one actually, that American Crime Story, like, so they have the OJ, People versus OJ, they have the Monica Lewinsky, and they have the assassination of Gianni Versace.
Do they not also have is it Mendoza? We just talked about them last week. Who are the brothers? The parents.
Yeah, the
Mendoza?
No, Menendez.
Menendez, yes.
But they're a different. They're not part of American Crime Story.
They made one before they made, like, Ryan Murphy made one. There was
definitely. I feel like they've definitely made stuff.
I swear.
But I don't think that's part of American Crime Story. But I was just gonna say, because it's like the Gianni Versace season, I liked it. I thought it was really good, but it was more about like the actual act of the crime.
Yeah.
And the other two seasons are more about like the aftermath of the crime,
Which is better.
Which is so much better, because I love a court, like a legal situation, so much better. But I still liked it just was very out of place, I think.
It was. It just, yeah, I don't know. So they just announced their second one. Their fourth one, you're right. He didn't do the Menendez brothers.
He made that show, but it wasn't
for. Why wouldn't he connect it?
I think it was like a stand, because he did Dahmer too.
I just don't know why you wouldn't connect, because they're both Netflix shows, right?
I don't think American Crime Story is. I think American Crime Story is FX.
Oh, okay, that would make sense then. Okay, so basically, he's making the same thing but on different networks.
Yeah, because American Horror Story is like FX and like Hulu.
Yeah.
Like he's very all over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ryan Murphy makes so much.
I totally changed the subject. So who's in charge of Versace?
I don't know yet. But I'm just saying Donatella is stepping down. Wow. I think it's time for her to retire.
How old is she now?
Man, she's got to be like 60.
I feel like she's older than 60.
I was being 60 generously. I don't know. But.
Yeah. Well, what's the look? The Devil Wears Prada, the real one. The real lady. What is
Anna Wintour?
Yeah. What's her look? She always has like the bob.
She always has the bob.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which she kind of rocks that.
Yeah, the bob and sunglasses. She's always kind of. I would be so scared of Anna Wintour. Every time I see during Fashion Week, like whatever shows she's attending, there's always like two random celebrities basically sitting right next to her, and they kind of are like, "Okay, you're sitting next to Anna," or whatever.
And they're like sitting like perfectly up straight, posture's perfect.
I would be so scared to sit next to Anna Wintour. I'm sure she's a great conversationalist and is fine, but it's like, because she always looks like she's talking and stuff.
Yeah.
I would be petrified to sit next to her. I literally would be like, this is the principle of the fashion world. Like, I can't.
I would love to sit next to her just because I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, just because I'm like, your opinion of me does not affect anything in my life.
Yeah, it would affect your invite to the Met Ball.
Again, the Met, by the way, it's Met Gala.
Well, it's a ball.
But it's called the Met Gala, sweetie. Oh my God.
It's a gala, but it's a ball.
You're probably right. I don't know. But isn't once they go in there, aren't they just like sitting at a table?
It's basically just like they go in, they see the exhibit, they're sitting, it's just like a banquet type thing. And then they usually have one performer. And then they like see the whatever exhibit. I think that's like an open bar, and they hang out, and then they all go to the after parties.
Because the after party sounds fun to me, but basically the timeline of it sounds like you get dressed in a really uncomfortable thing.
Yes.
Then you come in, you sit down at a table for a long period of time, watching somebody perform something in your uncomfortable outfit at this table.
Yes.
And then the real reward is you get to walk through a museum.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, that just sounds like, it sounds like you're like, I hope the photos worked.
Yeah.
But
like, you know the way how like sometimes you're like, you kind of like the pain, like while you're at the gym or something like that. You're like, you like to like feel certain things because you're like, you feel like you earned it.
Do you feel that with clothing?
What?
With like heels and stuff?
Yeah.
You feel that?
Like you kind of feel like I'm pulling this off. I earned this. Like I I would love nothing more than to wear probably the most uncomfortable outfit in the entire world to the Met Gala.
Okay, interesting.
Like
See,
that
makes
like,
sense to
as
me.
like a dream of mine. Like to be like, I did that. Like
That's a
it's
good
very,
analogy.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, I love that.
Well, I do have some other news.
Give it to me, baby.
I guess it goes a little bit into sports news.
Yeah.
Actually, I guess I have 2 talking points today about some athletes.
Give it to me.
Well, one, OJ's estate sale is beginning.
Where? Florida?
Well, actually Vegas. So
Ooh.
I was like, can we
Okay.
go? But apparently it's just an online auction.
Yeah.
Because I was like, if it's here, I'd be like, we're going.
We're going to Juice's house.
I go to Juice's
Yeah.
house. But I was like looking through all of his stuff, and there was like a signed photo by him and Bill Clinton of them on the golf course.
When did Bill Clinton? Oh, it had to be pre-murder, right?
Oh, pre-murder
Okay.
for
Okay.
sure.
I was like, Bill.
Definitely not post-murder.
Bill. What are you doing?
Who's to say?
No,
But,
I know they probably golfed. I'm just saying that there were no pictures of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
yeah.
They were good buddies.
But I was like, man, I should bid on that one because that's just
Yeah.
a hilarious thing to have.
How much?
But they
That's
were
worth a lot.
So I went through basically everything that's so far listed on his site. It's like 3 pages. It's not. It's
Yeah.
a lot of stuff, but it's not like so much stuff that I couldn't go through it. It's a lot of stuff where it's like this is a replica of his Heisman. These are
Interesting.
signed books of his. Here are, and then there's some that are like here's like the canvas art that's in his house. Like it's just,
Yeah.
he just owned these photos. And then there's
Let's get something cheap from there.
that's why I was
Let's get like one of
looking.
his forks.
They have like a million signed footballs. They have a bunch of his clothes.
Yeah.
I saw they had nail clippers.
I'm in.
I was like,
I
what?
want Juice's nails.
I
Nail
was like, is
clippers.
there DNA on this?
There Kato Kalin's DNA on these nail clippers? That's so interesting.
Yeah, like, and so I just was like, huh. It's so weird where it's like,
Yeah.
oh, I also saw, which again, I was like, why are they, some of the stuff on there, I was like, why is his family like willing to sell this?
Yeah.
I saw his old student ID card from USC, like signed by him.
I'm guessing over time, more and more his family was less in touch with him.
Yeah.
As it sunk in more and more with
Yeah.
he really did this and
Mm-hmm.
how brutal it was.
Yeah, I think it's just his kids kind of talk to him.
But I'm guessing, I feel like I remember one of the kids
Yeah,
cut him off.
probably
And the other one, I'm guessing just over time it was strained. Why would you, they probably don't want anything near their dad.
Yeah.
Is that, yeah. But I would love his student ID card. What fucking crazy is that?
It's just a crazy thing to have. Like,
yeah.
like it's weird and morbid and like feels wrong to be like, I want to buy like a murderer's thing, but it's
Yeah.
like, it's just like a weird part of history.
The O.J. Simpson case, though, it's this weird thing where it's like, of all of, and tell me if I'm wrong, tell me if this is almost offensive to say, of all of the brutal, famous murders in history, it's weirdly the one with the most like comedic feeling to it. Because it's such
like,
a pop culture thing.
Because you could like make fun of him.
Because you can make fun, because everybody made fun of him afterwards.
Yeah. Like, because it was like with, it's like no one would ever like make fun of like the Sharon Tate murder.
No.
You know? Like, because it's like, there really wasn't anything, like, because it's like, yeah, all those people were crazy.
Yeah.
It's like, they're not as like, haha, but it's like OJ, it's like, we all get to kind of point and laugh and be like, you've been exiled from society, basically.
For good reason. And it's funny too, because it's like, I'm actually watching that Netflix OJ doc right now, and I've been talking about how like, it is so funny. There's just the whole time they're talking about how much evidence there was and how it's like, it was open and shut. OJ killed them. There's no other person who could have done it. He did it, all this stuff. And then the reason why it's funny to me is because after he was acquitted, the first thing he did is go out and he's like, well, I got to find her killer. And like, that's the funniest answer he could have had.
Him saying,
the search begins now.
him saying that he won't go back to LA because the killer might still be out there. It was one of my favorite quotes by him.
The funny, like,
The killer might still be out there.
No, I think-
like honestly, props to him for keeping up the charade.
well, yeah, you really
I mean,
have
like
to.
obviously
You
he
can't
had
let
to,
down.
but it's like the fact that he still was like, I'm going to talk to the press. It's like I would just be like, we're piecing out from the
Like
universe.
The funny, that's what makes it funny to me is him going to his like favorite bar and everybody leaving and being like, guys, we got to find the killer. It's like,
Yeah.
dude, come on.
Come on, guy.
You did it.
What if it like in like 10 years, some crazy new evidence came out and it was like, he didn't do it.
I'm always waiting for stuff like that.
I know.
But would there be a bigger twist in life? I don't know. It's such a sure thing.
I
Like
know.
there's just
I
no
know.
way.
It's the most open and shut case in the world.
It's the most open and shut case of all time.
Yeah. But my other sports athlete
Mm-hmm.
news is actually from the Kardashians last night, which we didn't watch the new episode
No.
yet, so I haven't got the full context. This is just the TMZ headline, of
Mm-hmm.
course. I'll watch the episode later, guys. Don't worry. Kim said that Chris Humphries only paid for a fifth of her engagement ring.
Who paid for the rest?
She did.
What?
I was like, I feel like at the time he was worth. Was he ever like good?
He was relevant. He was like, and again, it's been long enough ago that I kind of like I don't remember his career exactly. He was kind of Tristan Thompson level, where it's like he was a starting player.
Because I was like,
for a minute
in my head at the time, he like was wealthier than her, but I was like, maybe not.
I think a lot of people confuse him with Blake Griffin.
Yes, I confuse them every time.
Their faces don't look that much alike, but they have the exact same characteristics.
Yeah.
Like they're both kind of like redheaded black guys.
Yes.
Like they have freckles.
Yeah.
Like they are, and they're I think Blake Griffin's a little bit taller, but like they played, Blake Griffin played a lot different than he was a real tough guy. Blake Griffin's awesome. But so they were sort of confusing. So I think a lot of people assume he is Blake Griffin.
Yeah.
And Blake Griffin was really relevant and made a bunch of money.
Which I'm like, I know that.
There's also a thing of like basketball players' salaries over the past 5 years, really 10 years, have like shot up.
Insanity.
It used to be basketball
is losing money.
They're losing money. It doesn't make any sense. It's a bubble. It's why I think a lot of people are like kind of, a lot of owners look like they're selling and stuff because it's like, this is a bubble. But like when I was a kid, baseball players made the most money. And like hands down, like A-Rod made way more money than any other athlete on a team sport a year. And then over the past like 10 years, now it's not just that basketball players make the most money. Quarterbacks in the NFL, I think, probably make the most money at the moment, which they didn't used to as far as like for across sports. Now, not only do basketball players make upwards of that, all basketball players make that. Like middle of the pack guys are making like $35 million a year. In football and baseball, they'd be like, holy shit, he must be a star. It's like, no, he's going to be traded to the Clippers midseason.
That's crazy.
It's nuts. So Chris Humphries was making, he probably should have paid for the full ring.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's why it didn't work. It was a sign that it wouldn't work.
Yeah.
If he was,
I think that it's so funny because watching back that season, because I feel like I did that relatively recently where I was like, man, I forgot I did not like him. Like he was a big baby the entire time. Like, because I think I was very like, oh yeah, like, oh, I feel bad. Like he got roped into the reality world thing, but like,
he knew what he was getting into.
He knew what he was getting into, and he was being like a baby about everything. Like
Reggie Bush was first, right?
Reggie Bush was first, and
he's a good guy.
He's a good guy. They seemed like so in love. Like I think in another universe they ended up together, but I think he wanted a little bit more of a private life, and Kim was like, no, this is my dream. It seemed like a very friendly breakup.
For all he knew, and one he played at USC. He was with the Saints when they were dating. I know that.
Yeah.
But. So he's in New Orleans, but he went to USC, so he's an LA person. Like they could run into each other at a party reasonably. It's not like my manager and your manager set us up the way Chris Humphries might have been or something like that. And so like it's reasonable for him to think maybe this Kardashian show is not a long-term thing.
Yeah.
Maybe I like her. We'll date. This will be over in a minute. Like
reality shows weren't what they were. You know?
Chris Humphries knew exactly what he was getting into. He knew it wasn't ending.
Yeah. It was just so weird because like I remember the first time I watched it, like as it was happening, and it like didn't really register to me, but like watching them like plan the wedding and like the way he talked to her everything was so like he basically was just always rolling his eyes at her like, oh my God, you're being such a baby. And like even the iconic scene of her dropping her diamond earring like in the ocean. Yeah. And there's like Courtney being like, Kim, there's people dying. Like,
great line. But
and like that was a good moment, but it was like he was there for that. And he just kept giving her a hard time about like the fact that she had the earrings and this and that. And she was like, no, like this was like, she's like, I'm crying because I lost this and I worked really, really hard to buy this. And she's like, I know it's like a big purchase, but she's like, I worked really hard and this is something I'm really proud of. Like I lost something I worked for. And like, while they were,
it has value to me.
It has value to me. And she was crying because, she was like, it meant something. And like, he just was like, oh my God, the whole time. And like, while they were planning the wedding, he was so like, oh my God, like, do I have to be at he was like rolling his eyes.
Do I have to be at the rehearsal?
Yeah. Like the rehearsal, he was like rolling his eyes, like dragging his feet. Like they were like fighting at the rehersal. Like it
wasn't going to last.
He like didn't want to be there. And then he just kept being like, I think he really wanted to just have a hot wife who was like a moved with him to whatever state and didn't work. And
she's a status symbol.
Yeah.
Well, like
I don't think he expected her to be as like driven and like work focused as she is.
I'd say that's my least favorite thing, or not favorite. I think it's one of my biggest pet peeves when I see couples. It's usually, actually it's 50-50. Half the time it's the girl always rolling their eyes at the guy or the guy rolling their eyes at the girl. When we meet couples or you see couples where they have that dynamic where one of them's like, my spouse is an idiot.
Yeah.
I hate them.
Me too. Yeah. It's the weirdest thing. Like you should be like respecting and like, yeah, like I'm all in on my partner and like whatever.
Especially in public. Like I hate when people talk down or insult or make fun of in any way, not in like the teasing way.
Yeah.
Their partner in front of other people.
Or even like a big thing. I guess obviously it depends on the situation, but like in general, you should always like be backing up your partner, your spouse and stuff like that. Like,
always.
Like if I were to say something that like I was wrong about or you disagreed with or something like that, if we're in a group setting, you should back me up. Same thing.
If you say if you say an opinion in a group setting with people, that's my opinion too. Even if it's not.
Same goes for you. It's like I'm gonna back you up.
Yeah. We're just gonna be this happened.
Like that. Yep.
I would never say
you can say the sky's purple. I'll be like, yeah, the sky's purple.
like the amount of times somebody will be telling a story and like the guy will be telling a story, the girl will be telling a story, or both, maybe they're both gay. I don't know. Maybe it's two women. Can you imagine? Sinners. The amount of times like I hate when they're like, no, it wasn't like that.
Yes. Oh my
no,
God.
You're misremembering. It was this. Yes, it was. No, it wasn't. It wasn't. Like, and now it's like, well, now I don't even want to hear the story. I want to go home.
Yeah, now I'm uncomfortable, and I didn't care about that detail either way.
Yeah, like, mom and dad are fighting now. But just finish, get to the point of the story.
It's so weird.
It's such a weird.
I agree.
I don't know. We're obviously definitely not like that.
No.
So for whatever reason, this week I've had like so many songs just stuck in my head for like I'll get a song stuck in my head, and I had the Fairly Odd Parents song.
Yeah.
Stuck in my head. And the part I had specifically was the part where it was basically they're just listing out all the they're just listing out the dessert menu at like a nice restaurant. Yeah. Like chocolate mousse, lava cake. Like they're just at like a mid, upper tier, not super upper tier restaurant where it's like, ooh, they have a lava cake. You know? They're going to bring out, there's going to be some sort of display. They just kind of, part of their theme song is they just name a menu. One of the things that has always kind of driven me nuts, and it's because I was never like this as a kid, is in stories, like Harry Potter's really bad at this, but like anything about kids, any book or whatever about kids, they treat candy and sweets like they're it's the greatest thing ever. Like it's Christmas. Like it's basically currency. Yeah. Like the amount of chapters or nights that end in Harry Potter with like, and he was eating his sweets and he was so happy. And it's like, I could never relate to that.
Yeah, I could, but I'm a sweets girl.
I'm always just kind of like, hey, Harry, Voldemort's still out there. Like I wouldn't be able to sleep at night knowing there's a murderer out there. And also like after a while, I'm like, now I feel sick. Yeah.
And I didn't start to feel sick until later in life. So the candy currency worked for me.
It feels whenever they're like, oh, wow, that seems to be the end all be all for children and
candy.
I just really don't think it is.
It's like the, was it the Jimmy Neutron movie where like aliens came down and abducted all the adults?
Movie,
yeah. And basically the first thing all the kids did was just eat all the candy, all the dessert, all the everything. And they all were like, my tummy hurts.
Okay, so that's what I mean. Like, we always hear about how excited they were. So excited with his chocolate gumdrops or whatever the fuck. They never then have chapter 2. He felt terrible the next day. Yeah. Like, awful. He was sluggish. He was in a mood.
I never felt that way as a kid, though. I could eat so much candy and feel nothing.
I felt terrible like immediately.
Yeah.
No. And I still eat candy. Yeah. And I'm always like, this is stupid.
I remember when I was a kid, one time I like knew I was tall. I basically was at the age where it was like I was still trick or treating, but like I was taller, so I could reach where the candy was, etc. Because my mom used to try to put it up and away. And anytime like my parents like weren't home or like were busy or whatever, I would just grab handfuls and sit on the couch and eat candy every day, like before they came home from work. And I just started sticking all the wrappers in the recliner that I was sitting in. Yeah. And eventually they found it and they blamed it on my little brother. And
you said nothing? And you said nothing. Oh my God.
And my little brother's so sweet.
Oh my
He's
God.
the sweetest little boy in the world.
Do you think it's the type of thing? Was it a situation? So you've one out in this. Was it a situation where if they knew it was you, you'd be in trouble?
Probably.
But if they knew it was him, they'd be like, buddy.
I think because he was little enough, to be fair, where they
He's
thought it
6
was
years
funny.
younger than you? 8 years?
Yeah, like he's a good chunk younger than me.
He was like, no matter what,
He was
growing
a
up, he was
baby.
way more of he was way
Yes.
younger than you.
Like they would have thought it was funny. Like
Yeah.
one time he
Okay, then that's okay.
yeah,
Basically blamed it on the dog.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
one of our favorite stories is when we were like packing to go somewhere like on a road trip or whatever, and my mom had this like little like 6-pack of like apple juice boxes. Or like some sort of juice box.
Yeah.
And so she was going to pack those for the road or whatever. He like took them in the other room when he was like 4.
Yeah.
And he just stuck a straw in all of them and drank all 6.
That's my kind. That's a me move. I used to do stuff like that all the time.
Yeah.
I'll just finish things. The amount of times growing up where I ate or drank the thing that was specifically bought for a trip or an event.
Yes.
And then my mom's like, "Where's the this?" And I would just kind of sit there like,
I did it.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
And be like, "Where's the cake?" And be like, I thought that was for me. You thought the whole cake was.
It was in the fridge.
There was no evidence that it wasn't.
Yeah.
You know?
It's a happy birthday to someone else.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, it said happy birthday to someone else. Well, I can't read yet.
I can't read.
All I'm saying
I'm
is like
small.
when a kid gets in his parents' car and drives it and runs into somebody, you don't blame the child, you blame the parent.
Man, that was like one of my favorite stories of, I think it was last year, was like, I think this girl was 8.
Yeah.
And she hijacked her parents' car
Yeah.
and drove on the road, like in the morning. She drove herself to Target and she grabbed some cash too from like, I think her mom's purse.
What is she, Macaulay Culkin?
She literally got there and she got herself like a Starbucks at Target. And I was like, that's a girl ready to be a woman because that's all I want to do is I want to go to Starbucks at
She
Target.
literally went to the Starbucks at Target. That is a basic bitch in waiting.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So how did she know? Like, that's the thing. She knew how to drive. Like,
yeah.
Like, there's just no way. Like, yeah, okay, maybe, steering wheel is kind of more intuitive. You can kind of figure it out if you go slow or whatever. And like gas pedal, like, okay, maybe. There's no way she knew to press the brake and put it in gear. There's just, her dad was like, here, you want to try driving? There's gotta be. It's gotta be.
Or she was just like, I can figure it out.
She's this genius then.
Yeah.
Good for that. I mean, that girl's going places.
I know.
She's very individualistic. She's confident. I love it.
Yeah.
She needed that chai tea latte.
She did.
She had a big 8-year-old day.
I think the article was like she bought herself like a cake pop. Like it was
Yeah.
it was like that's adorable.
Well, there was a time before where there weren't driver's licenses.
Yeah.
They're just you take a car.
Yeah.
You could be 6 like on farms you have like 6-year-olds driving tractors.
Of course.
So who else is going to drive
Who else
it?
is going to drive the
The
tractor?
4-year-old? What are you, crazy? No, he's 6. He can do it.
The 4-year-old's shearing the sheep. Okay.
Yeah.
He's got the knife right now.
Yeah. Well,
He's
it's
fine.
way safer.
Yeah.
It's so funny too to think about like, sorry, tell me to shut up. But it's like every now and then I'll think about like how ages used to work of like, I was reading something this week because of course I was about how the concept of childhood is like brand new.
Yeah.
Like there's no like,
So are birthdays. Birthdays are post-Great Depression, right?
I think that's where they got popularized and where we started treating them
Like,
the way
like celebrating them.
treating them like holidays.
Like everyone has a birthday, but now
Yeah.
it's like, I think we celebrate birthdays post-Great Depression.
Yeah, and I think it was basically sort of like anytime there's a really bad time, that's when people start celebrating the way that we're like, oh my God, the 105-year-old turned 106. It's a bigger celebration every year because it's like, he made it.
Yeah.
How far is he going to go? I think it was kind of like that where it's like this, at that point, the 50-year-old turning 51 was like, wow.
Lived to 13.
Good.
Fit to be seen.
Fit to be seen.
Yeah.
Quite true. To 13, fit to be seen. But like, there was like no history of like, there's no, historians never looked at children until recently. We're like, okay, so there were nights, there were all this stuff. What were the kids doing? Like, there was nobody
know.
knew. And the answer was like, depending on the time period, sometimes when you were, bar mitzvahs are literally, that used to be like, you're now an adult.
Yeah.
So get a fucking job, dude. It's like, I can't shave yet.
Yeah.
But it's like, well, you should have a wife.
You should have a wife now.
You should get a wife.
Yeah.
And you should start try to find some land and build that farm. Get an ox.
Yeah.
That's your first big one, big purchase, but you got to take care of it.
Got to take care of it.
And like, just now we're so coddled into like,
I know.
every time people throw out it's not until you're 20. Your brain doesn't even finish developing until you're 25.
Which is untrue.
It's not true.
The study just stopped them.
We just stopped checking.
Because that was a study where they were trying to see if people under 25 should be tried as an adult or not in court.
Yeah, they should.
It was a study to basically prove that. Like it was a study so that someone can be charged as a child instead of whatever.
Somebody committed a crime and their parents were very wealthy. And so they hired a defense team who said, honestly, what we could do is, because they definitely did it, we could get them to try it as a child. Let's do a whole study about how they're still a child.
Yeah. And it's like, they shouldn't even count yet.
No, but like that.
And it was a single study. It didn't account for like, because everyone's frontal lobe develops differently based on like, if you have trauma, either it develops further or it like regresses or like you stop right there. Like there's different ways that like it can develop, but there's no one size fits all.
No,
it makes no sense.
At a certain point, and it sucks, but at a certain point, you kind of have to start being like, well, tough shit.
Yeah.
You're 24. Okay. Maybe you're not as old as somebody else who's 24.
Yeah.
But you're 24 and that's the way life works. And so you need to know how to do
You gotta fall on your face a couple times.
Yeah. And you know, not everybody's going to be Beyonce.
No.
And
unfortunately.
And you're going to jail. So you're not.
You're going to jail. Okay.
You could be Diddy.
You could be.
But we'll see.
Oh, well, speaking of Diddy.
What happened?
Apparently, this literally just came out. CNN destroyed the original file of the video file of him harming Cassie.
What is going on? Who's...
So there's no original file anymore.
Is there just this web of...
There's something. But it makes no sense because it's like, obviously, they were the ones who bought the tape to release. And so CNN owned it. And then they put it on CNN. Like, there's the footage. Everyone has the video. But they destroyed the original tape.
Yeah.
Why? Because obviously we still saw what happened, but it's like, was there something else that...
It's gotta be.
Was there someone else in the footage that they were like, we gotta cut that out and destroy? Like, what?
I mean, it could be anything, but it's gotta be something of... Like, so there is copies of it?
Like, what they aired, because we all saw the video.
Yeah, so
it was security footage of him essentially attacking her.
Yeah.
And... like, it's very clear or whatever.
Yeah.
And like, did he release an apology? Like, it was a whole, before he got arrested, he apologized and he's a changed man.
Yeah. Always. Yeah. He's not going to see women anymore.
Nope.
They're not allowed in his house.
Women are not allowed, which again, doesn't seem to be the problem.
Just that, if you haven't listened to that episode, the funniest thing ever was, just to refresh, Diddy went to court and to try to get out on bail, he said he promised to never let any women in his house ever again.
Yeah.
He basically was like, I'm going to create a No Girls Allowed club. Mm-hmm. As if, you're like, okay.
Like, as if half of the
deal.
accusers aren't men.
Yeah.
Yeah. Deal.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, I don't know what the deal is, but it was CNN destroyed the original tape.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what was in it. I don't know.
That's weird.
It's weird because it's like, it could be nothing because it's like they made copies. They aired whatever footage, but it's like, it also could be really weird.
Well, did you see the USAID shred thing?
No.
So a few days ago, and you knew it was like a really big story because even like MSNBC was covering it.
Ooh.
Because basically, it's obviously this whole time with the USAID stuff, it's basically been typical as usual. We have the Republicans being like, it's all corrupt, and the Democrats being like, you're just trying to like fire people and being terrible and starve and everything's terrible. So one of the heads of USAID released a full staff memo. Everyone come in on Sunday, and we're going to shred and burn everything. And MSNBC was like, the one host, who again is so left leaning, was like, I worked in government for many years. I've never heard of anything like this or any like it was. So it basically said in it as a further note, and also like reserve the burn bags for when the shredders are being used and like overused. So the MSNBC host was like, I've never heard of anybody talking about, hey, we're going to be shredding so much stuff that we're going to kind of be overworking them. Yeah. So we should burn the rest. Like, what the fuck is happening?
That's crazy.
And it feels the same thing with like Diddy and Jeffrey Epstein too, where it's like, I think it goes so deep.
I think everything is so deep we don't even get it.
We're never gonna know anything for sure.
Because I used to be a person where I'm like, I love conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
I love all that stuff. But it was like, but there is no Illuminati. There's no, it's like, obviously there are very powerful and messed up people, but it's like, I don't think it goes like every celebrity is indoctrinated. And it's like, that's not like a thing. Like, that's not how it works. Like any of it. But there is like this weird now, like connection with like all this stuff where it's like, there's something there.
There's something happening.
There's like, obviously we know that there's abuse of power with Diddy. There's a terrible like blackmail ring thing that's happening at Epstein's Island. And then there's a ton of corruption in politics and government and all that stuff. We're aware of those three meet somewhere.
Oh, they absolutely do.
Like, where is it?
There's some, and the thing is too, there's some connecting person. There's one person who is the center, maybe not the center of all of the things, but where everything meets. And it's like, it just, to me, it gets me really pessimistic that we're going to ever find anything. Cause I think it's so deep and people, it's like, God, there's many movies like this, but where you kind of, it's what Jeffrey Epstein basically did, where you kind of like trap somebody in a thing where you're like, hey, I have you now, because unless you do it's like in Succession, where like end of season 1, spoiler, Kendall like accidentally kills a guy. And so for the second season especially, but kind of the rest of the show, the dad is basically like,
I have this on you.
If you can do what I say, or I'm going to tell everybody you killed a guy. And it feels like it's kind of like that, where there's so many people who, while they're not, they didn't do anything super bad, they did take illegally, $200,000 one time. Yeah. So they're incentivized to look the other way when they're trying to bring the big fish down. I feel like it's so deep that like, they're going to delete the stuff at CNN. Somebody's connected at CNN to do it.
Because even with the when they were like they're releasing the Epstein files thing, and then they gave it to just specific. They were calling them influencers.
So, but they're like Twitter influencers.
But yeah, they're like the internet journalist type people.
They're the people who repost conservative memes.
Yeah, and so it was like they just gave them to those people, and then they all kind of turned out to still be like a whole lot of nada.
It was all the stuff we already had.
Yeah, it was everything we already had, and it's just because I always feel so weird with they're like, oh, like release the flight logs or this and that, and I'm like, while obviously the answers to who did bad stuff is on there. Yeah, I think there's a lot of people on there that didn't do anything bad, and it's because I truly wholeheartedly don't think that everyone going there like knew what was going on.
I think the majority of people had nothing to do with anything.
I don't think so either. I think it was a very select people where they were like they either needed to blackmail them or something weird was happening. Like
the country song. I think most people are good.
Yeah,
and yeah, it's like it's funny. What scares me about it though is so basically. Right now, it's looking more and more like there's all these things that are kind of like, we know stuff happened. We know bad things happened in all of these different, like you just named, the different like huge conspiracy plot cases. We know the results. We know that there were bad actors behind it, but we don't know all the details of everything. And I don't think that we ever really will. I think things will get destroyed. There's two results that come from this historically. Again, I'm so sorry I'm this way, but there's two results. One is, everybody just kind of like consciously forgets it and we kind of move on. But that only happens when there's a really big event, like a big war or tragedy or something where we can kind of be like, that's in the past. Yeah. Or when somebody did something, but you don't know how. And so the court of law doesn't let you convict them in the way that we typically do. Yeah. And public gets unrested enough about it being like, but we fucking know they did it. That's where you kind of have the revolution time. Yeah. Which isn't good. It's where you have a lot of crazy shit happens because you're like, somebody needs to answer for this, even if we don't have even if you deleted all the evidence, we know you fucking did it. Yeah. And like we're fast approaching that time. Like even,
sorry, my throat's been killing me. Like even just with this week, like, I guess there was like a weird connection with the like, okay, the police chief of Hawaii was on the list for Diddy, and I guess he was Nevada, then Hawaii.
It was Vegas and Maui. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was like, and he kind of was there for the fires thing. And that was already a conspiracy. Like, it's like, that's where it's like, shit, is it connecting? Like,
I think a lot of it's connecting.
yeah. So basically, it was the police chief.
I don't even think it's that conspiratorial to say it. It was the chief of police or the sheriff. It was,
Yeah.
those are technically different jobs, but I think it was the police chief actually.
Yeah.
For Vegas and then for Maui, and he was the chief of police when the fires happened, and basically that was the most sketchy.
And he was the police chief when the shooting happened in
Which
Vegas.
that one I do think is coincidental.
But that was one of those things where it was like, we got zero answers out of that.
Yeah.
And nobody talks about why we got zero answers. Sorry, this is a conspiracy episode, guys.
But you know what? That's one of those ones where it's like there's way more questions to be asked about the Vegas shooting than there even is about 9/11. Like,
yes, I agree.
There's a lot of, well, why don't we know this? Why didn't you release any of this? Questions. And that's one where it's like,
the definition of like, we just kind of moved on.
we moved past that.
Yeah.
We didn't. And you know what? That's because honestly, the reason that I think it's because that one's more like the JFK murder where there was not a face to,
Yeah.
well, we think this guy's involved. It's just like, hey, we don't have nobody knows who to point to. So yeah, you kind of after a while,
Like we know who did it and he's dead. So
you get
we're
tired
not
of pointing at nothing after a while.
Yeah.
So you move on.
But yeah, so anyway, so the chief of police or whatever, he got named in the Diddy lawsuit.
Yeah.
And it was like, what?
God,
I guess he like trafficked some girls to him, which is crazy.
I just think all of this stuff, you're so right. It feels all connected.
And like, yeah, and I just used to not think that way. And now I'm like, it's unraveling. But someone's going to stop it from unraveling is the thing. We're never, ever going to know everything.
We're getting just enough of the yarn to be like upset about it.
Yeah.
But not enough to convict.
Yeah. And because it's the weird thing too, where it's like Trump has obviously been more like, I want to give people answers. Like he wants to release the JFK stuff. He wants to, which I'm like, okay, cool. I appreciate he's doing that. I do think that there is a point with some of these things where he would stop it from coming out because he knows a ton of people connected on it. And so it's like, it's like in a weird way, he would be the closest to giving us answers, but he also is not going to.
And the thing is too, it's like it's a lot easier for you to empathize and justify and forgive people you know.
Yes.
So like you and me, Diddy's a bad example. Jeffrey Epstein's a bad example, but like, is there another...
Like someone we know that's bad? Because I was like, I know there's one person that we both were like, we had good experiences.
Who?
The Gabby Hanna. She's not a bad. She didn't do anything.
She didn't do anything near that. Yeah.
But it's like she's someone where it's like everyone's constantly canceling her for something or their stuff's always whatever.
Yeah.
And
I did a lot of shows with her. She's the most wonderful person I've ever met.
I was gonna say I worked with her a handful of times, and she is professional, lovely, and everything. Like it always shocked me every time people were coming out with stuff against her, and I'm always like, we both, before we even knew each other, had collectively great experiences with her.
But so like for the Epstein Island thing, where it's like, oh yeah, all these people are on the thing. And it's like, even if there was somebody who did something bad, maybe they didn't know they were doing something bad or whatever it is, the people who are really good friends with them can hear their story and say, you know what? I know them and I know that they didn't mean it.
Yeah.
Whereas the general public, and it's right, the right people, the rule of law is that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But when you have so many people all high up and they're all connected and all these things like that, that's where you start getting a lot of forgiveness.
Yes.
And you forgive by deleting things and not mentioning things.
Yeah.
And omitting stuff. And it's just like, that's where you have, I mean, it's what happened with the French Revolution. It's what happened with all these revolutions. It's just kind of like, it's what happened with the Soviet Revolution, with even World War II, where it's kind of like, hey, we're upset. We know some people did something wrong.
Yeah.
We can't prove it. So you know what? We're tired. We're going to take it into our own hands.
Yeah.
And that's how we got to this world today.
Yeah.
With crazy shit.
I know. I was going to say, sorry guys, we just went off on like a full conspiracy tangent.
Honestly, but I do think that weirdly, that's the big news story that nobody's talking about.
I know.
How all this shit is unreal.
It's so funny because I'm like, every time I'm like, I want our podcast to be funny and like, which we still do or whatever. Cause it's like, we're comedians. That's what we do. But we love talking about like what's going on in the world so much that it's so hard for us not to be like, okay, we have thoughts.
Okay. You know what though?
Don't put us in a box.
This is also, it's important. And I'll tell you what,
someone has to say it.
This is the thing that nobody is talking about how it's just weird right now.
It's so weird.
Everything's so weird. It's like, hey, all this shit's happening. Nobody knows why.
And if you've listened to majority of our episodes, you'll know all of our rants on like, in the media is trying to shift.
It's just like, it just feels like there's this weird energy in the world right now where we're all kind of like, yeah, something's afoot.
Something is afoot.
There's something afoot.
There's something afoot, and I don't know what it is.
I don't know what it is. Everyone feels it. We don't know what it is, so we don't talk about it. But we got to start talking about it because it feels, we got to release this tension.
Instead,
why are things happening the way they're happening?
Instead, everyone's so focused on commenting about how every female celebrity looks old right now. That's the least of your worries.
Yeah, Millie Bobby Brown looks like an old woman. It's like, have you seen British people? They age different.
And she doesn't even look old. She just is not 10 anymore.
She's just not 10. And also she's, I've told you my theory with this. It's so funny because right now, what's back in fashion right now? Is it like 2000s?
Yeah, Y2K is very.
Because 90s was back in fashion like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Now it's Y2K. Whenever that stuff happens, everybody looks older because you associate that haircut and that style with older people.
Yes. And also the look right now was to be like thin, pale, like,
which makes you look older.
It makes you look gaunt and older.
Babies are chubby.
Yeah.
You thin out as you get older.
Yeah.
So you look older.
Babies are chubby.
Babies are, you start off like a ball of fat.
Yeah.
And then you kind of thin out.
Yeah.
And that's how it works. That's life, baby.
But anyway, something's afoot.
Yeah.
Leave Millie Bobby Brown alone.
Leave her alone.
My God.
Even though it is so crazy, I think I noticed it. I saw somebody else. I don't want to name drop, but I saw somebody else, another like kind of like mid-20s girl influencer, got the buckle
fat pads removed.
I don't like that it's called buckle.
I think it's called buckle.
But it's Buccal.
Looks like maybe it is.
It should be pronounced differently because buckle's a word.
Yeah.
And anyway, you got it removed, and it's just like, yeah, what are we doing? Why are we gaunt?
I don't know. I don't know.
Everybody just kind of looks like a skeleton.
I know, it's scary.
That sucks. You showed me the funniest BBL lady yesterday.
I know. Every time I see a ridiculous BBL in the wild, I have to send it to you.
Because I get upset.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are they doing?
You're like, why? And because it's not for just like people where it's like, oh, she has BBL. It's like people where it's like they take it so far that it's dangerous.
Yeah.
And it's like the girl I sent you yesterday, she was like some sort of, she wasn't even an official like Fashion Nova model. She was like one of the influencers that Fashion Nova paid.
Yeah.
And it was like, they look so insane that it's like, the BBL can't even be real. It's like it has to still be enhanced to be bigger.
It's the equivalent of, to me, maybe not quite as much, but you know, like the alien guy who like got his tongue split so it's like a lizard he fucking has like diamonds or rocks in his head and stuff. And it's always so funny. All those people, they're always like, I can't get a job. It's like, because you look fucking psychotic. But to me, it's kind of like that where it's like, okay, to be fair, if you have a really unique look, you actually probably get a lot of ass.
Yeah.
Because while most people are repulsed by you, 1 out of every 50 people, you are the hottest thing they've ever seen. They love that shit.
Absolutely.
But so many people.
Chris Angel mind freak? I'm just kidding.
Mind freak. But so many people are getting these uncanny plastic surgeries and things that almost trying to make it look normal. I'm just wondering, like, there aren't that many weirdos who are into it.
No, but like it's less of the like.
I'm not talking about the generic BBL.
No. I know what you mean. But like, it's like we're straying further because I'm very pro plastic surgery. Like I'm very pro do what makes you feel good. Because
I think pro is the wrong term. I think you're very supportive and accepting, but you're not like saying pro means I'm very much think everyone should get it.
Well, yeah. Okay. So I support it because I'm also just like.
You support people's decisions.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And because even if it's not just something where someone's like, I'm insecure about this, I'm going to get it fixed. If someone's like, no, I want to do this because I think it looks cool. It's like, awesome. Yeah.
You know what you are?
What?
Pro-choice.
I'm very
That's
pro-choice.
what it is. Nobody's pro-abortion. They're pro-choice.
Pro-choice. Yeah.
That's what you are.
Yeah, you're right. I'm pro-choice. Like literally do whatever you want. If that's going to make you happy. Awesome.
Yeah.
Where was I going with this? Oh yeah. But as it's like plastic surgery and all these enhancements are becoming so basically a drive-through, you can just get it done really quick. And it's normal. It's like everyone has something done. It feels like your brain starts to normalize that that's what people look like.
Yeah.
And so it's like you see a lot of people where it's like when they don't have work done, a lot of the conversation around them is the like they're okay looking, like type of thing. Like where it's like I see a lot of also it's like it is just incel talk of the like there's that singer like Tate McRae or whatever and someone like Sydney Sweeney. Where
it still upsets me Tate McRae's not a country artist.
It does sound
That's
like
such a fucking country name.
I know.
Tate McRae.
It is.
She should trade names with somebody.
She should, but she's really good. I like her. She's a pop girly.
Yeah.
But it's like she looks like a normal natural girl. She has a very athletic build because she's a dancer.
Yeah, she's fit.
Yeah, she's very fit. Like she's not one of those girls that looks like gaunt and skinny. It's like no, she's fit. She looks bomb.
Yeah.
But it's like she doesn't look like someone who like has work done. And like when she's just dropped an album recently, it's like so a lot of people are kind of seeing her for the first time. Like she was on SNL. Like so much of the conversation was, well, she's mid, and it's like she's a beautiful, normal looking girl.
Yeah.
Like people like guys try to say that about like Sydney Sweeney too, where they're like, I don't know what the hype is. She's mid, and it's like she's a normal, gorgeous girl. Like what?
And to be fair, the one thing that I will defend is because I actually think this is more of a natural. Yeah, I'm with you where it's like none of them are mid. They're all fucking gorgeous.
Yeah, you have to be gorgeous to be in Hollywood. Like
if I see a conversation, because like that stuff upsets me, but the one thing I don't get upset about is when people are like, I think Zendaya is hotter than Sydney Sweeney. No, I think Sydney Sweeney is hotter. Like,
because that's a taste thing.
Because that's a taste thing.
Yeah.
And that's the way that it works. And it's like, is it probably great? No, I hope they don't read it.
Yeah.
But like, that's more of a taste thing. And it's like, yeah, a lot of people like vanilla and some people like chocolate and some people like strawberry. And it's like, yeah, you can have that debate. That's fair.
Yeah.
But you're right, where it's like this.
People are just so used to seeing.
I guess with plastic surgery or with style, with fashion stuff, to me, it's always like, and granted, I'm a guy, so it's different, but I've literally never changed my style.
Yeah.
Ever. I wear the same shirts and pants, shoes, everything all the time. And throughout my life, my adult life, I have gone in and out of fashion like a wave.
Yeah.
Sometimes what I wear is what everybody's wearing to the clubs. And sometimes it's the worst thing you could wear to the clubs. And I never check. And I'm either in fashion or out of fashion, but it's a lot cheaper.
It is.
And it's a lot easier on my soul because we're not constantly thinking, is this me? I know this is me. This is what I am.
Yeah.
And it's kind of nice. Everything comes back.
Yeah, it does.
Tate McRae, don't get anything done because Fit will be back soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Fit should be in.
Fit should, healthy should always be in.
Fit's always in. Yeah.
Yeah. To an extent.
I guess.
It's not that Fit's always in. It's just sometimes it's not as in.
It's not always number one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As long as anorexia stays out, which you keep on telling me it's back.
so in right now.
That sucks.
It sucks badly.
We knew Ozempic was going to do that.
Man, I came across Skinny Talk.
Oh God,
the other
stuff's terrifying.
I was reading the comments and I was like, this is bringing me back to when I was a teenager on Tumblr, and I was on like eating disorder Tumblr, and like everyone's just like talking each other up, like be skinnier, you can do it, and it's like what is happening?
Oh my God.
Like I saw someone comment on TikTok, like I don't reward myself with food. I'm not a dog. I was like, guys, gotta listen to your body. Gotta eat food.
Yeah, what?
Like crazy.
That's just it's fucking weird.
It's happening. So I don't know how to block things on TikTok, but if you guys can block Skinny Talk, do it.
Yeah, block Skinny Talk. Okay, you ready for sports gossip?
Hit me, sister.
Okay, so today we're actually we have March Madness coming up.
Yes.
And you, I know, have some questions for me.
Yes, because I know very little about anything.
Yes.
So I kind of wanted to go over basically like some terms, all that stuff, and I want you to tell me what it means so that I'm a little bit more informed on what is March Madness.
What exactly we're talking about.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, so all right, so you have the terms to last?
Yes. Okay, so just to start off, what is March Madness?
Good question.
Let's start there.
Okay, so March Madness is basically like the Hunger Games, but for college basketball.
Okay, so it's college basketball.
It's college basketball.
Okay, I knew it was basketball. I didn't know college.
It's college basketball playoffs, okay? It's what decides who the champion of college basketball is.
Okay.
So unlike, the reason why it's like Hunger Games is it's single elimination, okay? Unlike the NBA playoffs where teams will play each other like up to 7 times to decide who gets to go on to the next round, you lose once in March Madness, you're out. Like in Hunger Games, you die, you're done.
Yeah.
There's one winner at the very end, winner takes all.
Okay, so is it more like the football playoffs where it's like just one and done? Like you play, you lose, you're done.
Yeah, well, yes. But unlike football playoffs, where in college there's 12, in the NFL there's 14 teams that make it, 68 teams make it. So it's a massive tournament. Like that's what makes it so exciting. It's like, can you even name 68 colleges?
No.
I don't think most people can. Even people who watch a lot of basketball, after a while, it's like naming the 50 states. You always forget one.
I was going to say that. Now I get it. That's a madness.
It's madness. Like it's chaos. It's absolute chaos.
Some madness, some badness combination.
I have no idea.
You wouldn't get it. It's a Drake freestyle.
Yeah, I don't know Drake's freestyles.
Okay, so what does it mean when somebody says that they're on the bubble?
Okay, so like, let's think about it like this. So like if the Grammy nominations for Record of the Year this year was March Madness, okay? We would describe like Kendrick and Sabrina Carpenter, they'd be locks. We know they're gonna be nominated. And we would be like, okay, Katy Perry, she's for sure out. She's not gonna be nominated.
Yeah.
But like Ariana Grande and like maybe like Charlie XCX, we would describe them as they're on the bubble.
Okay.
We think that they're gonna be nominated. There's a case for them to be nominated, but if they weren't nominated, we'd be like, no, I mean, there's a case for both. So when they decide what teams make the tournament, the teams that are on the bubble are the ones where you're basically on Selection Sunday, which is this Sunday, are like, are they going to make it?
Okay.
We're not sure. Their fans are like, I hope they accept us. But if they don't, nobody's shocked.
Okay.
Essentially.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
So a bubble team is a team where it's like, they just barely made it.
Like they're in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So when people say like Sweet 16, like what is like Sweet 16, Elite 8, Final Four?
Okay, so those are just like the names of the rounds, and they literally just describes how many teams are remaining, how many teams haven't lost and been kicked out yet.
Okay, so it has nothing to do with the birthday party.
Nothing to do with the birthday party.
Boring.
So like Final Four, like okay, put it this way. So like Final Four, you would say like after Zayn left 1D, it's like, oh, Harry, Liam, Niall, and Louis are the Final Four. Like it's like, okay, who's as if as if there was gonna be like a championship for the One Directioners. So that's not a really good analogy, but it kind of is.
I know what you meant.
They're the Final Four teams.
Honestly, I was just really shocked that you named them all off.
I can't believe I named them all.
That was really good.
I always forget Louis.
You can't forget Louis. He was my favorite. Okay, what's a Cinderella? I feel like I hear a lot of Cinderella thrown out, and I'm like, what's my girl doing in basketball talk?
Isn't it funny how it's like that it's thrown out all the time? It's like, oh yeah, they're a Cinderella. And I feel like every time a dad's watching SportsCenter and his daughter who's dressed as a princess is like Cinderella.
No, literally, that's like the only ball she should be associated with is the ball she's going to go meet the princess.
And there's 1 month a year where on SportsCenter they say Cinderella 500 times a day. And then they never mention another princess the entire time. So a Cinderella team is basically, so a Cinderella team is like a lower ranked, lesser respected. Usually they're a smaller school team that makes it a lot further in the tournament than we think. So they're like a Cinderella story. So like.
Okay. So, from rags to riches.
From rags to riches. So like My Big Fat Greek Wedding is a Cinderella movie. It's an indie movie. Okay. Nobody expected to do as well as it did. And it was like, I don't know the number, but it was like the 5th highest grossing movie of the year. It was a little indie movie they shot for $50,000.
Yeah.
That's a Cinderella movie. A Cinderella team is a really small school that makes it to the Sweet 16.
Yeah.
How did they do that? Because it's really hard. Yeah.
Okay. So it was like an underdog story.
It's an underdog. Exactly. It's an underdog story.
I'm shocked that they're not using the term underdog. That's so much more like a basketball alley, I feel like.
March Madness is funny because there are a lot of these terms that, again, are never used in anywhere else in sports. And I don't know why.
I was going to say with Cinderella and the Sweet 16, they want to be the girlies so bad.
It's the girliest terms of all. Even like bubbles are kind of girly.
Bubbles are so girly. I love bubbles.
Bubbles are a girl thing.
Okay, and then finally, what is a seed?
Okay, seeds are it's just another way to describe. Okay, seeds are basically just ranks. Okay, so tell me if this gets a little bit confusing, and I'll stop and I'll backtrack. But basically, March Madness, buckle up. Basically, March Madness is one massive basketball tournament. But what it really is 4 smaller basketball tournaments combined into one. So there's basically 4 mini tournaments. That's what the bracket makes up of.
Okay.
The South, the East, the Midwest, and the West. I know that's fucking confusing and going to give you a stroke why it's not just the 4 directions.
So screw the North.
Screw the North. We're Midwest.
Okay.
So they have their 4 mini tournaments, and all the teams are ranked in those kind of little 4 mini tournaments. So there's 16 teams, and they're ranked 1 through 16. Okay. So like if we were doing a March Madness, but for like the best reality TV show character, the divisions could be like Keeping Up with the Kardashians, Jersey Shore, The Secret Life of Mormon Girls, and The Challenge.
The Housewives.
The Housewives, something like that. So in the Kardashians bracket, Kim would be a 1 seed. Rob would be the 16 seed.
Okay.
For Jersey Shore, Snooki would be the 1 seed, or Sitch would be the 1 seed, and Angelina would be the 16 seed.
Okay.
And they do it so that the better teams start off playing the worst teams. Basically, the better you are, the easier it is for you to get to the finals.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, because they want to reward you for being so good.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
The poor 16 seeds, they're like, we got to go off against one.
Yeah, well, that's like the last thing that makes it really fun. What makes March Madness so fun is you don't even have to follow college basketball to really enjoy it, because you can just tell by the numbers next to the teams. This is a 12 seed playing a 4 seed, that the 4 seed is supposed to win. So when the 12 seed wins, they're the Cinderella. They're really fun.
Okay.
Like that kind of,
I getcha.
You know who David is, you know who Goliath is.
Yeah.
And that's why March Madness is so fun to watch for people who don't even follow college basketball.
Okay.
Yeah.
Man, that was a lot of madness.
It's madness.
Okay. So for March Madness, it goes on for like a couple weeks.
It goes on for, I think, really 3 weeks.
Okay.
Well, honestly, you could say 4 weeks because this upcoming Sunday is Selection Sunday.
Okay.
That's where they announce all of the teams that are going to make it and what seed they are.
Okay.
So for the teams that are on the bubble, they're really hoping, I hope we're just in it.
Yeah.
And then for the better teams, they're hoping they're a higher seed. So like, I hope we're a 3 seed instead of a 4. It's easier for a 3 seed to get further than it is for a 4 seed.
Yeah.
Because they're playing easier teams. Their pathway is easier. Yeah. But then next week is the first 2 rounds and they're played in 4 days.
Okay.
So that's when there's the most, we go from next week over the span of 4 days, we're going to go from 64 teams, really 68 teams, to 16 teams. That's where it's really madness.
Okay.
And then, by the way, then it should be called the March
Games.
March chill tournament, because then there's 16 teams. We know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And then by the time we get to the finals, honestly, I think a lot of people kind of get exhausted.
Yeah. Is there any teams where it's like, like they're the number ones?
We know what teams are going to be the number ones. We basically, you can predict pretty well. Like,
can you give me some, you don't have to
like
throw out some colleges.
Like Duke for sure is number 1. So like Duke, Houston, Auburn, and Florida are almost all for sure going to be 1s or 2s. Like there's no way any of them are a 2 or a 3 seed.
Yeah.
It's just like they're locked in and we know what it's going to be. Again, the top of the bracket isn't as exciting because we know they're locks. We know they're going to be in.
Yeah.
But that's why March Madness is also so fun, because it's like, it's sort of the only sports tournament where there's a real effort to root for the underdog.
Yeah. No,
like,
I love rooting for the underdogs.
It's basically a whole tournament designed for you to want to see an upset. So like, you know what's really fun actually too is I actually don't know how long March Madness has been going on, but 60 plus years at least they've had this tournament. At no point, the first games are a one seed plays a 16, a 2 plays a 15, a 3 plays a 14. Like it kind of goes like that. At no point had a 16 seed ever beaten a 1 seed. So a 15 seed's beaten a 2 seed many times. Every 10 years, it's like, oh my God, huge upset. Never has a 1 seed lost to a 16 seed.
Okay.
It happened for the first time like 5 years ago. UVA lost to it was a college near me. The initials are, we used to call it, you made a bad choice. So UMABC. So it was University of Maryland, Baltimore College. So it's like a small school.
Yeah.
Yeah, because people would go to play sports there and they would be like, you made a bad choice.
Okay.
So, which is mean. But like every year too, there's just like Wichita State is shocking the world.
Yeah.
They're the shockers. That's why they would say that.
Okay.
And all of a sudden, and a few years ago, there was it was a Chicago school, I forget who. And there was a great storyline where one of a woman who went to every game was like a 98-year-old nun.
Oh yes, I seen her.
And that's what March Madness has, stuff like this, where it's like so much stuff is going on. It really opens up kind of like, hey, this is what's going on around the country. Yeah. This random school in Iowa is shocking the world. Like it's really fucking fun.
No, that is fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. It's fun that it's a big deal for like a college thing.
Yes. It's a really big deal for a college time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess there's some other sports gossip that I forgot to bring up.
Oh, bring it up.
Our boy Braxton Berrios is being moved to the Texans.
MVP Braxton Berrios.
Yes.
All pro, famous Braxton Berrios moved to the Texans. Okay, so is Alex going with him?
Probably not, but I'm sure she'll visit a ton.
I think this is where it ends.
I don't think they live together already. And she also lives, she has a place in LA and a place in Miami. She's already like back forth.
Well, we know that people always say this. If you get a house in Miami and you get a house in LA, the next question people ask is, when are you getting a house in Houston?
I mean,
when
left, right, center, right?
When is the Houston stop? When are we putting roots down in Houston?
Down in Houston.
When are we moving to Houston?
I think Alex is going to have a good time because I think she'll get really into like the cowboy fashion of it all.
That seems very in vogue right now.
That seems to be what she keeps saying she's having trouble with is just finding her fashion for games.
Yeah.
And I feel like for the Texans, that might be like a really good opportunity for her to like cowgirl it up.
Absolutely. And what's so funny is Braxton Berrios, who's technically a wide receiver, but again, he kind of plays special teams. Like he's not like he's going from, and anybody listening, I'm sure you're gonna be like, no, actually these teams, he's going from the most loaded wide receiver room, so the team with the most really good wide receivers, to probably the team with the second most really good wide receivers. Like he's just still going to be on the bench. Like he's just
put in Braxton. Hashtag put Braxton in.
I mean, man, I'm sure every day he's like, fuck, if I was younger or older, and he would have been perfect on the Patriots to be like, hey, they got another little quick white guy.
Yeah.
And somehow Bill Belichick and Tom Brady make it work.
Yeah.
Those were the Julian Edelmans and the guy who played with Dancing with the Stars. Yeah.
Dancing with Danny
Amendola.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Chris Hogan. There's just a whole list of them where it's like, the rules were you had to go to like a D3 school, like you were not known whatsoever.
Yeah.
Did not get drafted. You're below 5'10". You're really quick and you got good hands.
Yeah.
And it's like specialist.
Yeah.
No other team could make anything happen with him.
Oh my gosh.
All right, you want to?
I was going to say, I think that's it for the Public Pool podcast. If you're not already, I know I said this last episode, please follow our Instagram at Public Pool Pod, just because I don't know if we're going to have anything coming up for March Madness. It would be fun to get you guys involved if we do have the chance to do anything like that. And if not, there's always updates, fun clips.
Yeah, let us know if there's, because I don't know if we'll do it this year. I just don't know. I don't know our audience well enough yet of like, we could do for our listeners a bracket.
Yeah, we'll figure something out. So just, please follow us on Instagram. Students, stay in the loop, girls.
Yeah, girl.
In the pool,
Get out of the pool. Toe off.
Toe off.
Love you guys.
Bye.